So because radiation can cause bodily harm from the energy levels, from the density of energy levels that it transmits, we'll want to wear a radiation badge that can detect how much radiation that we are being exposed to. We'll want to wear this at all times and over our protective shields, preferably somewhere that can be seen at all times. Our maximum permissible dose is about 5,000 milligram a year, and we can obtain this from our dosimetry report. This is a dosimetry report that shows the readings of different team members and how much radiation they were exposed to. So here is our personal protective equipment. We have our apron. We'll place this way. We'll wrap the straps around and secure it tightly so that nothing is loose or falling off. We have our thyroid shield that you will wrap around your neck, and our gloves. And then we also have our radiation badge that we will place on one of these hooks somewhere where it is easily seen. You also want to make sure that there are no defects in our personal protective equipment because this can affect our radiation exposure. So we do have a small clinic and a small radiation area, but this x-ray table is actually hidden behind this wall over here, and anything behind this wall cannot be exposed to any radiation. We also have these stickers over here that provide caution for the radiation area. So because radiation is dangerous and can cause permanent health issues, no part of any human, shielded or unshielded, should be exposed to the primary X-ray beam. So there are several different ways to help prevent this. Different restraint methods that we use sometimes whenever we're trying to maximize the distance between ourselves and the patient and the primary X-ray beam. We'll use troughs like these. They help keep the patient stable without moving. Sometimes we'll use gauze if we need to tie it to a limb to pull it back or out of the way so that our limbs aren't in the view. We do that. If we use something like a plastic spoon or anything else that can help pull the limbs out of the way so that we are not in the primary X-ray beam, is something that will definitely help us. This mechanical restraint is the trough, which helps keep the patient steady and comfortable. This restraint is stretchy gauze to help pull unwanted limbs out of the primary X-ray beam. Here we use a glove to help keep unwanted limbs down. So non-essential personnel should be removed from the X-ray suite because they can absorb scatter radiation, which they could end up accumulating over time, and they could not even know they are being radiated. And so we try to keep them out of the way as much as possible. We always try as hard as possible to obtain radiographs on the first try because the more radiographs we take, the more exposure it can cause to us and our patient. So multiple radiographs is more exposure, so taking one radiograph and getting it on the first try is the main goal. So there are restrictions when it comes to x-raying on pregnant women because radiation can affect the growth of the fetus and cause birth defects. On minors and kids 18 and under, it can cause changes in growth plates, hormones, and can affect the development of the child. Here I am measuring my patient for a VD thorax view. I am measuring the thickest part of the chest area and looking at my chart to adjust the settings accordingly. Here I am getting a patient up and on the table, first laying him down laterally, getting ready for a thorax VD view. Here we have the patient trying to get him in the thorax VD view position. He is not sedated and he is very nervous, so it is a bit of a struggle trying to get him into the position that we want, but by talking to each other and positioning differently, we are able to get him there and get the view. Now we have the same patient, sternal, getting everything situated for his radius ulna view, the CRCD radius ulna view. We are positioning him and collimating correctly as I am helping my technician. And then I'm placing the marker with the left side showing, making sure to keep all of our limbs and the rest of his limbs out of the view. Now we are taking the shot and getting the view. Here I am inserting the next cassette in the machine, ready to take the next view. Here I am measuring his hind legs for the lateral tibia fibula view, and I am setting in and typing in all the numbers that I need into the machine. Here we have the same patient being set up for a lateral tibia fibula view. Here is where I enter patient information into the system. It'll ask questions like the name, the gender, date of birth, species, breed, color, and the markings it has. There are also tabs where you can put notes and pop-ups about the patient. To get into a patient's file, I go to the upper left-hand corner here, which then leads me to the patient clipboard. I then double-click the client ID box and type in the last name of the patient I need. Then we'll double-click the file name when it shows up. The right top side shows me all the different pets a client has. The left side at the bottom will show me different tabs like medical notes when we type up the patient's history, lab results where it shows results of blood work or anything we send off to the lab or run in-house, vital signs show the weights from every visit, and the RX is all the medication we have scripted out to the patient. The summary then shows the rest. Here is another way to retrieve a patient's file. For this one, I am just looking at today's schedule and right-clicking in the appointment of the patient and clicking Patient Clipboard. It will then show everything as before. So first I'm going to go into the patient clipboard and choose the patient that I want. For our digital system, our X-ray images automatically upload to the patient's file and will show up in the summary. To order an X-ray, I'll click the icon at the top called Image Request. Sometimes it takes a little while to load. On the right side, I will click the New button and click the patient ID and choose the patient I want to take radiographs of. I will then choose the ID of the staff who is taking them. Then I'll double click the item ID and will type in the view that I want. For this example, I'll be using the abdomen lateral view. To create a medical record, I will go into a patient's file and right-click their name. I'll go down to where it says Medical Note. Then I'll double-click the Sample Blank tab to create a new note. From here, I'll enter my staff ID and the weight of the patient. From here, I'll type in why the patient is here, then the history, and what I'm going to be doing. I'll then put in the temperature, any treatment we did, and our plan for the patient. Once I'm done, I'll save the note, press OK, and then I'll go back into the summary where it'll show my saved medical note and the radiographs that I took. So our images for ultrasounds are saved and filed away in these discs. Since we are a small facility, we do not do any other type of imaging. We have somebody come in if we ever need to do an ultrasound. It shows the name, the breed, the weight of the patient. Then we just set it back in the radiation area. Here's a report that we fill out when taking x-rays of a patient. There's a space for the date, the name of the owner, the patient's name, what we are studying or what we are wanting to do, the position that we are wanting to do, the KVP, MA, the settings that we do whenever the patient is measured, and then the initials of who is taking the radiograph. Here I am starting the GI series. To start off, I am using a syringe to get the amount of barium I need, and then I will be squirting it into this bowl. And then we'll be mixing it with dog food so that the patient will take it a lot easier. Here I am getting suited up, putting on my vest and my thyroid shield, and going to get my patient, getting ready to take x-rays for the GI series. From here, I will get the patient's measurements for the abdomen lateral view. I will then look at my chart and put in the correct KVP and MA for her size. Here's where I'll take the initial view of the GI series before the patient is given the barium. I will collimate as needed and restrain as needed, and then I will take the view when ready. So we did a somewhat shorter GI series because this patient has been having problems with vomiting right after drinking water and even at random times in the day, and it's been happening every day. So we wanted to use this patient to see if there was anything unusual happening. This is the first view of the patient, the lateral abdomen view before any barium was given. Here I am giving the patient the barium mixed with the canned ID dog food. I'll be taking my patient back to the x-ray table and using the same settings, I will take a lateral abdomen view of the patient right after ingesting the barium. Once this is done, I will take the film and develop it. Here is the lateral abdomen view of the patient right after given the barium. Here I am doing the same thing and taking an x-ray of the patient 1 hour after ingesting the barium. And then I will be developing the film.
Can you read it to me?
Here's a view of the lateral abdomen of the patient about 1 hour after the barium was given. Here is the lateral abdomen view of the patient a couple hours after the barium was given. Here we're performing a radiograph and screening for hip dysplasia on a sedated canine. We have the patient in a trough to keep her steady while we collimate and adjust accordingly. The other technician will be taking the view while I work the pelvic area by doing what we call cranking and pulling the legs inward to get the good view.